So for those who are not up to date with the happenings in South Africa around Eskom, our national power supply company, Eskom is in a huge amount of debt, almost R500 billion. So it's massive. And this is not unusual for the state-owned enterprises or the public-private enterprises. Any company that the government is involved with doesn't tend to do very well in South Africa. So Eskom is in huge debt, and it's a loss-producing company, meaning that every month the money that comes in does not cover the money that goes out. So every month the debt grows and grows and grows. Part of what contributes to that is that because maintenance hasn't been done consistently in about 20 years now, plants keep breaking down, so there are massive diesel generators being used to generate power to keep the lights on in the country. Also, what's happening is what they're calling load shedding, which is scheduled rolling blackouts. So depending on how severe the power shortage is, it might be stage 1, which is like once a day, once every second day sometimes, where for 2.5 hours your power gets turned off. Stage 2 is more like twice a day. Stage 3 is more often, and so on and so forth, all the way up to, I think they've got 8 stages now. So, in a nutshell, things are not looking good for Eskom. And the biggest labor union in South Africa, COSATU, has now proposed that the government pension fund be used to bail out some of Eskom's debt, to reduce Eskom's debt load. But on the one hand, it helps Eskom cover the interest and it helps it keep going so that electricity can keep being produced. But on the other hand, that just means that Eskom will now owe whoever it's lent money from that it hasn't paid back yet, and the pension fund. So it just shifts the debt around, which is kind of a reflection of how a lot of people manage their personal finances, where there's like loan consolidation and payday loans and using debt to get through every month, but at the end of the day, the debt just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's quite a strange position, because there are a lot of proposals being put forward. There are a lot of ways that electricity generation can be made more sustainable, can be made more affordable. And for example, it could be privatized, and the cost of generating electricity can be reduced significantly. But because there are so many jobs that Eskom creates, and because it's a state-owned enterprise, the government has its fingers in that pie, the whole public sector and the labor unions are making it incredibly difficult to do anything other than keep things as they are. So there's stories of wind farms and solar farms that have all this generating capacity, but they are not used because the government regulations have not been updated. Private electricity supply, there's only a very small allowance for privately generated electricity to be contributing to the grid. So the situation is not being looked at in a very practical way in that sense, because there are so many other factors that are being given more importance than just simply getting to the best, simplest possible solution. Now, I'm not saying that any of the ideas that I've proposed, that I've mentioned, are good ideas or the best ideas. I'm just giving examples. At the end of the day, it's a very clear example of different types of corruption where the best possible solution is not implemented because it doesn't continue to benefit the few people who have been benefiting from the current situation. And there have been huge levels of theft, of tender fraud, of all sorts of skimming money and things happening through Eskom. There have been billions and billions of rands that have just poofed, just disappears. And obviously that's not so great for the whole debt situation and the spiral of death of the business where it's just not generating enough money. In spite of the continual increases, every year there's an increase in cost of electricity. So it's really such a silly situation. And I think it's such a good reflection of how many stupid problems we have that could be solved so easily, so simply. Like, people are hungry while food is being thrown away because the people who are hungry don't have money to pay for this food. So instead of giving the food to people who need it, it is thrown away. And products that are grown on one continent are then sent to another continent for processing and then sent back to the original continent to be sold. And it's just mind-boggling. At what point did money become go so over and beyond any kind of common sense that it's now like we're living in this fantasy, weird movie where things are upside down and backwards and back to front and nothing really makes sense, when the answers could be so simple. Do the things that need to be done. Give everyone what they need. So, for now, I'm going to end off that update on Eskom. Thank you very much for watching. You're going to see me next time.